All my days merge into one.
Hello, happy Tuesday. I was just saying that. What day is it? What day is it?
And I don't know.
We don't know. Like, this is what happens when you get to the baby. Welcome to Donna and Cheryl TV. And Cheryl's had another makeover today. I've got my gorgeous Nat with me today because Cheryl is taking today off. She's gone for some lunch today. It's actually the memory of Cheryl's brother today. It's a year ago since Christopher passed. So they're going to get together, have a family lunch. So I thought it'd be a great opportunity for me to get one of my oldest, as in longest standing friends, the gorgeous Nat on to talk about. Because Nat, you had a baby. You went and had a baby just before the pandemic and lockdown.
And I certainly did.
I think there's so many people, like we had Nadia from the Tranquil Tree House on ages ago talking about what it's like the challenges of having established children, so to speak. But I've been saying to you this whole time, I can't imagine what it's like. Like you literally had summer. I was going to come and see her, wasn't I? And then I got a bit poorly, and then the next week we were all locked down.
Yeah. So basically I had her on the 24th of Feb. Yeah, and I think about 3 weeks or so after that, we kind of got locked down. So yeah, it was and I'd kind of put quite a lot of people off as well because I'd had the C-section. So I was kind of like not feeling the best. Anyway, so I'd kind of said to people, look, come in like a few weeks and then, I'll be kind of up and about a little bit more and, we can kind of maybe potter around with the pram if I'm up to it. But then literally we got locked down kind of like I say 3 weeks after that. So she literally hadn't seen hardly anybody. So that was quite a challenge really, just not having seen a family. She only saw my dad and brother probably about for the first time about say maybe a month ago. And obviously my mum is in a care home, so she's not seen her yet, which is sad really because she's going to be 6 months. She'll be 6 months next Monday. But because all the care homes are still kind of locked down, you can't see people apart from a distance. So I just don't think that's the right thing really for my mum to just have to see her granddaughter from a distance. It's a bit hard. So I'd rather just try and wait until she can see her properly. So it's had its challenges,
because just to give everyone context, because you live over in York on a gorgeous farm with the gorgeous farmer John.
Yes.
So you're not, and your sister lives over in Tenerife. Obviously, your mum in the care home over. So you're not. It's not like you've got all your mates on your doorstep and your family. Like it's been quite challenging with being that little bit more not isolated, but you're a little bit more remote, aren't you? Because you can't just go and knock on the next door.
Yeah. So the my family are like 100 miles away in Liverpool. So yeah, like you said, everybody's kind of there. My sister's in Tenerife. So because of my job as well, I moved here 4 years ago, but my job involves quite a lot of travel. And I didn't really I spent time here, but I didn't spend time establishing like a friends network, I would say. I kind of know people, but they're kind of John's friends, partners, or wives. So for that reason, I didn't really have anybody that was that accessible kind of help me out really. But yeah, I mean, we found other ways to, in the middle of it all, it's one of those things where I thought, well, how can I you go into solution mode, don't you? How can I fix this? Well, you actually can't fix it. So what are the next best things that you can try and do to help you through emotionally what is quite a challenging time, and also to try and help Summer not to just live in this bubble for however long it was going to be. So we just don't get me wrong, I had some days where I was just like, I had my head in my hands and just like, I can't believe this is actually happening. But
because like I can't imagine, but like even that bit there, like I know you also got I had my head, but like, I mean, you would say to me, didn't you, the week before it all kicked off, like, have you, like, and I was like, oh, no, I'm going to London, like, it'll blow over. It's all, none of us had a clue, did we? We were like, oh my God. And I can't imagine being full of all those hormones with a new baby, that going on. Like, you're so terrified of anything happening to them anyway, aren't you? Like, I was terrified of breaking Caleb So,
Yeah.
so like just going back to that emotion, and because there's people now, like our friend Sarah's due her baby this week. So what's that like? And like, what advice would you give to people around just that fear of like it happening and it being real and this is your baby?
Yeah, I mean, the thing I kind of used to say to myself, I had all the books, I've got all the books, and it was like, oh, the book says this, and she's not doing it, and kind of I get myself in a bit of a state over it. But I did say to myself, I'm going to be one of these mothers, is going to be quite relaxed. I'm not going to kind of get het up over things, but actually you do, because you just want everything to be perfect for them. And then when the book says they must have a nap at 9:45, and they don't have a nap at 9:45, you kind of start this like anxiety thing going. It's like, well, she's not having a nap at 9:45, and the book says she should. Otherwise, if she doesn't have a nap at 9:45, then therefore she won't have a feed at 11 o'clock. And then she doesn't have a feed at 11 o'clock, and then and then she's going to be up all night. So then you just get onto this kind of roller coaster of all of a sudden you're in this kind of, this person that you said you were never going to turn into as a mother.
I got the text in there. This baby's turned me into a neurotic mess. Like I always said I wouldn't do this. Like you had a choice.
Yeah, exactly. And the crying. I mean, as you know, I'm not a crier, but gee whiz, did I cry? I mean, my words. But I actually strangely felt better for it. So if there's anything I've learned, it's kind of okay to cry, and actually I feel so much better afterwards.
Speaking of crying though, like Nat is not a crier. Like we've worked together in corporate world before, and like people cry, Nat like leaves the room. Like there's like a nasty call in the room. She'll be the one that goes and gets the tissues, let's just say. And then when I went down to see Summer, we waited, didn't we, months and months. My mum had knitted all these little baby stuff, which I was like, it's too small now. Mum had to knit more stuff. So I said, look, I'm going to come down. I'll just stand at the door. Like, I'll hand it over to you as soon as we're like allowed to drive again and stuff on roads. Are being arrested for being out of town. And I got to the door, but I hadn't cried the whole of lockdown. And John just came and held Summer. And I was like, something off a cartoon just went, I started crying. And she just looked at me, she went, don't you start.
I think I'd only just stopped.
And I was coming home in the car like laughing and crying, when you have that snot fest thing, because I was crying, like wanting to cuddle Summer and laughing at your reaction, thinking of all the people who have had my first proper emotional breakdown in COVID too. Like, we love each other, but like that's just not how we play, is it? Like we don't do this.
No. But I'm kind of fine with crying now. I think, like I said, I've kind of I've found my new inner crying person. But yeah, I was like, oh, it's actually okay to cry, and I actually feel quite good after it. So maybe I've discovered something new throughout the whole process.
And now you'll cry at like Weetabix adverts and stuff. Like you just look at them and cry, don't you? So then there was the whole emotional roller coaster of wanting to keep Summer safe. And I know you went for a while where you were just like, you felt almost paralyzed, didn't you? And then you were like, I'm not living like this. You've always gone out and walked her, took her to shops and stuff and covered her over just to, and make sure she was used to sounds and stuff. Because like you said, you're on the farm, you're not going to get that.
Yeah, no. So I kind of thought to myself, we'd had all kinds of book things like, baby photo shoots, newborn baby shoots. And I was like upset that she wouldn't get things like that. I was upset that, obviously she couldn't meet people. I was upset that we couldn't get out and do the baby groups and all of that. So I thought, well, what can we do? So I took loads of photos, and I ended up making a little baby book myself. And then we just got out and walked. And we literally I used to, when we could go out for a little bit longer, I used to walk her through the village, because I thought, well, I don't want her to not know what a car sounds like when we can eventually, go in the car, or for her to hear traffic. And so the village has quite a lot of passing traffic because it's an agricultural village. So, I would just push her up and down the road. And then actually what I did, get to meet more people than I probably would have done if we hadn't been locked down, because I was walking through the village where I'd normally just be getting in my car and going somewhere.
It's like transactions, just in and out.
Yeah. So I was like going to go to all these play groups, and my plan was to meet some friends and mums around here to build myself a bit of a friend and support network here. And that actually didn't happen through the play groups, but what has happened is I've actually met some people in the village that I'd never even spoken to, that lived, a couple of houses up the road, because we
Oh,
were out and about, and obviously, having conversations socially distant, but then so someone could hear different people's voices. And then we went to discover another nature reserve that I didn't even know was nearby, a couple of miles away, when we could again travel a bit further. So I've actually done things and discovered things that I probably wouldn't have done if I'd have been going, like taking her swimming or taking her to groups. I've just tried to find other ways to give her a bit of normality, and me a little bit of
yeah.
normality, and get out the house, really.
Yeah. And it's even like you were saying though, like for her immunity, isn't it? Because she's not
Yeah.
been like the average baby by the time it's like 2 weeks old, it's probably been picked up by about 50 different people.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
whereas Summer hadn't had that exposure to germs, and you'd had advice about coming into winter, how that's going to affect her.
Yeah, so my friend, she's a nurse, and I just said, look, I'm kind of, torn between what to do here. I want to take her out, but I'm a bit, she hasn't had that exposure to, and she said the best thing you can do is kind of get her out now in the summer, warmer months, before the winter strikes. Obviously, anything she picks up will be a less strain in the summer months than it will be in winter. And obviously, she was just trying to reassure me about, that babies and children are at a lower risk with the
Yeah.
COVID thing.
Yeah.
But just to try and kind of just have the reassurance, really. So we've been out and about. We go into shops. I just put a little screen thing up. Obviously, we have our masks now. She doesn't, I do. So yeah. So just trying to get her out, and she's fine. She's fine in the car. So
She loves
slowly but
being out,
surely.
doesn't she? As soon as you say
Yeah.
that buggy, she's like, here we
Oh, she
go.
loves it. Yeah, she loves the pram. I was even saying to you earlier that I've had to replace a part on the pram because we've done that many miles in it already. That I think she thinks the pram is actually a cot or something. It's an extension of a cot, because yeah, she just sits in it, and that's it. She's asleep, or she just sits, and yeah, she loves it. So
She loves being outside. We say she's like a proper farmer's daughter, doesn't she? She loves
yeah, she
being
loves it.
outside, just in the fresh air, straight
Yeah,
away. She's quite happy
yeah.
just to chill.
Yeah, no, she does. She loves it. And we've kept in touch with some of we did an antenatal group, and then obviously we got locked down kind of, so we couldn't do the reunion. But we've been out kind of meeting some of them recently as well in the park. But, like you say, she loves being outside. So she, we all sat around in a socially distanced circle, and yeah, just kind of sat and chatted and caught up. And that was another thing that I found really useful, in terms of I didn't have family and friends support group, but I had the National Childcare Trust antenatal group. And one of the things I always had in my head in my days where I felt really down was, these people are in the same boat as I am. And that kind of made me feel so much better, that actually I wasn't the only one for this to be happening to.
Yeah.
And then we had a WhatsApp group, and we'd, share things about sleeping or feeding or so yeah, so I found that really helpful. It was really nice to meet up with them face to face a couple of weeks ago. Like the baby's 5.5 months
Yeah.
then. Well,
Yeah.
summer 5.5 months. So yeah, so that was been a really good kind of support for me. And I'd kind of say anybody who's gonna having a baby in this pandemic is to make sure you've got those types of support groups, because actually your friends and family are really great, obviously, when they can be around, but sometimes it's like anything, everybody's got an opinion. Sometimes you ask for the opinion, and sometimes they just give you it without you asking.
You get a lot of that when you've got a baby. It's like a license for everyone to tell you what's best for you.
Yeah, and it's very welcome most of the time, but you get a lot of conflicting advice, and that's where I found the NCT guys, the antenatal group, really helpful, because they were doing it in the moment, and it was where things were working for them, or it wasn't working for them. So it was like, oh, actually, it just felt a bit more, rather than your auntie saying 20 years ago I did this, or do this, do that. Actually, it was other people who were doing it in the here and now.
Yeah.
So
and it's such a unique experience, isn't it? Like, I know how much I was just filled with hormones and angst and checking what the book said that Caleb should be doing. Like, you layer over that something like that none of us have ever lived through before. We don't know which way is up, and the advice is changing week to week. Like, it's so important that you've got those people there, like you said, that are going through what you're going through now.
Yeah.
To validate you feeling how you feel now, not how Auntie Mabel felt like 40 years ago.
Exactly. Yeah, so they've been really good, and we've kind of all said, some days it kept us going, just that group chat about little things, but actually they were really important things to us. So yeah, I kind of recommend anybody, who's having a baby to kind of reach out to those support groups, and also there's apps called Mush and Peanut, so like mum apps, and I spent a lot of time on the Mush app, and they were just amazing in terms of all of their sessions they put on. So they used to have groups across the UK, face-to-face groups, but they put groups on virtually, and the groups were anything from postnatal anxiety to weaning to baby sleep, nutrition, kind of lots of emotional support for mums, the postnatal anxiety thing. So obviously the postnatal depression is one thing, but the postnatal anxiety is something different. And actually I kind of related to a lot of that, around trying to like I said before, Summer wasn't napping at 9:45. Well, that's okay. Don't get yourself into that kind of anxious cycle and trying to control everything all of the time. Be a bit more fluid about things. And so that they really helped. And I used to just watch things on Catch Up. They used to have sensory play groups on there. So we used to do that one day, or I'd watch things on Catch Up with Summer. So yeah, we just found different ways. Yeah, really good. They were
like, I don't think, if you think Caleb's 7, like I don't even know if they were out when he was. If they were, I wasn't aware of any of the the support that you've just said either. Which is, because I remember even when he was little, because all of my friends either had kids growing up, or like you didn't obviously have Summer at the time. There wasn't anyone around me who I knew with a little in. So I remember like going to like a local play group and it was literally like some of a program. There was 3 mums sat there with the kids in a ball pit, and I asked them a question. They literally stopped the conversation, looked at me, and said me like one word, and then went back to that conversation. I was like, "Oh, it's literally like it's like I've read about this, and I just laughed. I was like, whatever. But it just, and I tried going to like this play group at the library. It just wasn't my thing. So I thought very much like it was me and Caleb in a very adult world. So to know there's groups like that out there, who don't have to be next year, at least they can create that community of like that same going through itness, then that's what you need, isn't it? Because you feel like you go mad a lot of the time, and you do feel having a baby can be really lonely, minus the pandemic. So
no, it's been challenging, but like I said, there's been some positives out of it as well. They've discovered things that I probably wouldn't have done. Because it'd have been bouncing probably from group to group, or across Liverpool, or had loads of visitors. So so it's been a challenge, but like I said, it's just finding different ways to deal with it, really. And I've met through the Mush app, they do connect you to nearby mums as well. So I've actually started to meet some people. Actually, somebody messaged me who lived in the same village, weirdly enough. So we met a couple of weeks ago. So I've actually met somebody now who's got a baby similar age to Summer, who lives in the same village. So that was through the virtual.
That would never have happened. I bet that wouldn't. I bet you wouldn't have ever done any of this, because we're just not like that generally, are we? Just our own little bubble.
Exactly. And you kind of stick to what you know. And I think that's why I'd not made a friend network here, because I think, I'm an older mum, and I think, when you get, I certainly do. I kind of think, well, I've got my friends and I've got my work and I've got my family, and I'm not kind of missing anything here. But then, actually, when you do have a baby, your perspective changes. You need to expand your groups, your networks. But mine just meant I had to expand them in a different way, which was virtually, which has actually worked quite well. So
I love it. Someone else was just saying as well, I was not a crier until I had kids. Now I cry at the drop of the bottle. People say this, like I was called the Tin Man till I had Caleb, and then it just never stopped. It was like switching on I was going to say faucet, switching on a tap that just doesn't then ever like switch off again. You can tell I've been watching Selling Sunset. I'm saying faucet.
Yeah, well, my ex-husband used to call me the Ice Queen. That's why he's an ex-husband now, obviously.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Well, so definitely Mush. So is that MUSH? Mush?
MUSH, yeah, Mush, yeah. Yeah.
Definitely check that one out, guys. And what was
Yeah.
the other body that you said, the antenatal
Peanut.
plan?
There was Peanut app. So they both connect you with nearby mums, but they also have the forums. So Mush is very good at the virtual meetups, which with all of the different topics on there, like I said before. But then and they all have forums for sharing. You know, if you've got problems with sleep or if you want some advice on weaning, so then they have experts on there that you can tap up as well and ask them specific questions. So yeah, I've got loads of good information and like I say, some really new connections from there as well.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm just going to pop in the link. I haven't got the link for Mush and stuff, guys, but I'll see if Holly can find it and add it in for you a little bit later on for Mush and Peanut. I'm going to write it down so I'll forget. But what I've popped in there for you is the wait list for, because we keep getting asked for it, for the next Supercharge Your Self-Confidence Challenge. Because again, when you've had a baby, you feel totally different. So whether you've had a baby or not, if you want to work on your self-confidence, we're hoping to launch the challenge again in September if enough of you are signed up for it. So join the wait list and pass it on. But for now, for me and Nat, we're going to go and have a cup of tea to chinwag, aren't we? Yep. And you guys have a fab rest of day. Thank you so much, Nat, for coming on and sharing it as well. Really appreciate it. See you soon.
Bye.